back during the, probably 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, there was this push by Europeans to colonize the world, 1700s, etc. That's when they discovered the New World in the Americas, and the British came, and the Spaniards, and the Portuguese and other people, the French. They all kind of took different corners of the world. The French, a lot of Africa. The British, the Americas, North Americas, Spanish, Central and Southern, and the Portuguese were Brazil and Africa as well. And the British also went into India and other places. But what happened was, when they went in, they kind of came in with this idea that, we have a superior culture. We are here to civilize the people and to improve the culture. And so they went into most of Native American areas, and they'd basically be like, here we're going to teach you our language. You guys have 85 different tribal languages. You need to get rid of those and just speak English, or you just need to speak Spanish. And the what am I say? The Spanish did similar things, as well as the French and other people, and they made them their languages. They came in and said, well, you guys have a messed up system of government. You guys need to become democracies. This was popular in India and Asia, where they basically went in and said, you have to accept our way. And then you can go in and you can say, well, what about religion? They would come in and say, well, obviously Christianity is the best, so everybody needs to convert and become our religion. And they would basically, there were times where they'd say, either convert or die, basically. And this is sort of this imperialistic approach that people came in and said, you have to do it our way. And I think part of relativism is a reaction to that. This idea that there's this universal moral truth that English is the best, democracy is the best system of government, that the way we do things is best, and if you don't do it that way, well, you're wrong. And that's sort of what we would get with moral absolutism. The idea that there is universal truth in moral claims, universal truth in the way that things are done, and you either accept it or you're wrong. But then you can come along, and the other side of the coin is this sort of moral nihilism. Moral nihilism is the word you get for, annihilate, to destroy. You get the word nothingness. It's its etymology, and the term nihilism is basically the idea that there are no morals, and we should attempt not to have morals. Basically, this destroy morals, refuse them, don't accept them. Just live life sort of to your fullest, and don't worry about morality. And so you can kind of have two ends. One is where you're kind of imposing upon everybody that they have to do things a certain way, and there's a certain morality. And nihilism is this idea that there's absolutely nothing, and you need to avoid all of it. And there's sort of a variety of ideas in the middle, but all of them are getting at this question, and that's what relativism is getting at, is there truth in moral claims? The idea here is that with moral truth, that are these things simply matters of opinion? Are they simply things that don't really exist? There's no real moral truth. There is no right or wrong. That it's just your opinion versus my opinion. Or is it the case that there is something right or wrong? That democracy is the best system of government, and everybody should accept it. And so the idea here is there truth in moral claims? Nihilism says no. Absolutism says yes, and there's a specific way of doing it. And what you get is you get things like relativism, which is the idea of, culturally, cultures determine what's right or wrong, and it's basically their group thought, that it's a matter of opinion based upon where you live and your culture. And universalism, soft universalism, is the idea that there is a universal moral truth, but it's interpreted differently. That while there is moral truth, there is not necessarily the same way of interpreting those truths. That some groups might interpret something like, a system of government that, gives everybody a voice is one that is the best. But some people might say a benevolent king is the best way to approach that, or a representative democracy versus a pure democracy. That there are different views about how this could be done, and things like take care of your neighbor might be an underlying rule. But that may have different things like, whether or not you're obligated to help them when they're sick, or to aid them in some way that is really a interpreted from culture to culture that can differ. And so what happens is all of these are getting to this question: is there truth in moral claims? Is truth simply there, it's universal and it should be applied rigidly? Is it interpretive, that different people can interpret truth differently? Is it not really there, it's just sort of groupthink, that groups think that, that this is the way that it should be and that that's the way it should be? Or is it the case that there is just absolutely no truth in moral claims? And those are sort of the views of moral truth that you can have from nihilism, subjectivism, relativism, universalism, and absolutism.